How does the full process and timeline look when buying a home in Carlsbad? Kind of like what we just answered. I covered this in a little bit or earlier, just in case, but it's actually pretty simple. If I was trying to time this perfectly, here's what I'd write down: 3 to 5 days for negotiations. Could take a little bit longer depending on if there's multiple offers or if we're far off between the listing price and where you want to be. You should expect all of that to be in writing. Purchase contract to the seller, counters back and forth, because you'd be surprised at how many times people will say things, but when there's a contract like actually in front of them that they can sign and make the deal like ready to go, you'd be surprised at what people would sign. So I would recommend always put everything on paper, and then do everything verbal kind of on the back end, but understand that like, hey, the only thing standing between me and this transaction is like a signature on a paper. It makes it real. So I would always recommend doing that on paper. After that, we've got about 18 days of contingencies. Your earnest money is going to be due within 2 days, 3 days after that you have to get that wired over there. We don't want to play with that, because if you stretch earnest money after the contract gets accepted, kind of puts a bad taste in everybody's mouth and starts everybody off on the wrong foot. So we don't want to do that. But we've got 18 days for contingencies. And then after that, your lender, if you're getting a traditional loan, is going to need anywhere from 12 to 20 days to close the deal. So I would say, like, once you identify the home and we start the offer negotiation process, I would allocate anywhere from like 28 days at the fastest to like maybe 45 to 50 days, depending on what the lending process is and how clean the underwriting is and your approval from there. It's important to remember, I wrote this down, that the day of closing belongs to the buyer. So once that home records, you can take the keys, you can move in that day, but you cannot and should not take possession earlier than when you record. Yes, there is pre-possession addendums that you can sign and come to an agreement and move early. And there are some times when I would recommend that, but I can't tell you how awkward it is when somebody moves in early and just something random happens. Like the lending gets goofed up. You've got to switch loans, or we've twice in my career we've had deals completely fall apart on the day of closing. The buyer's already moved in. One time I was on the listing side of this. The other time I was on the buy side of this. It's uncomfortable for both sides. So I would never try to move in early, but know that once that home physically records and we get the notification that that's all done, then after that moment, after, it belongs to the buyer, and you can get keys at any time after that. Hope that makes sense. It's actually a pretty simple process. Everything's in the contract. For all of our clients, we actually give you a timetable of everything that you can expect: what money is due when, what you have to do by when, what is due up front, what money do you have to pay right now, what is a closing cost. Like, we're pretty detailed, so you know exactly what to expect. It's a pretty streamlined process here, but nevertheless, you really want to know what you're getting